In the late 1960s, the United States military faced a serious problem. Military planners believed that if a major war broke out in Europe, thousands of Soviet tanks would pour across the continent. Existing American aircraft were fast and powerful, but they were not designed to destroy armored formations while flying low over the battlefield. Fighters such as the F-4 Phantom could carry bombs, but they moved too quickly to accurately identify and attack enemy vehicles in a chaotic combat zone. The U.S. Air Force needed a completely different type of aircraft, one built specifically to support troops on the ground. This mission became known as Close Air Support, or CAS. Unlike strategic bombers that attack distant targets, a close air support aircraft would fly directly over friendly forces, identify enemy positions, and destroy them with precision. The aircraft would have to survive heavy enemy fire while remaining in the battle area for long periods. In 1966, the Air Force launched studies for what became the AX program. The requirements were unlike anything seen before. The aircraft had to be simple, rugged, heavily armed, and capable of operating from damaged runways near the front lines. Engineers quickly realized that speed was not the priority. Survivability and firepower were. Several companies submitted proposals, but two finalists emerged: Northrop and Fairchild Republic. Northrop offered the YA-9, while Fairchild Republic presented the YA-10. Both prototypes flew for the first time in 1972. During extensive testing, pilots evaluated handling characteristics, maintenance requirements, weapons performance, and battlefield survivability. The YA-10 eventually proved superior and was selected as the winner. On January 18, 1973, Fairchild Republic officially received the contract to build the aircraft that would later become one of the most recognizable military planes in history. The new aircraft received the designation A-10 Thunderbolt II. The name honored the legendary P-47 Thunderbolt fighter bomber of World War II, famous for its toughness and ground attack capability. However, soldiers and pilots soon gave the aircraft another nickname that became even more famous: the Warthog. At first glance, the A-10 looked unusual compared to sleek jet fighters. Its straight wings seemed old-fashioned, and its large engines were mounted high on the rear fuselage. Every aspect of the design had a purpose. The straight wings generated tremendous lift at low speeds, allowing pilots to maneuver carefully while searching for targets. The high-mounted engines reduced the risk of foreign object damage from debris on rough airfields. They also helped shield the aircraft from heat-seeking missiles by partially hiding the engine exhaust from below. Perhaps the most remarkable feature was the armor protecting the pilot. Engineers created what became known as the titanium bathtub, a protective shell surrounding the cockpit. This armor weighed nearly 1,200 pounds and could withstand direct hits from armor-piercing rounds. Even if enemy fire struck the aircraft, the pilot would have a significantly greater chance of survival. Redundancy became another defining characteristic. The A-10 included duplicate hydraulic systems and a manual flight control backup. If both hydraulic systems were destroyed, pilots could still fly and land the aircraft using manual controls. Fuel tanks were protected against explosions, critical components were separated throughout the airframe, and the aircraft was designed to keep flying even after sustaining severe damage. The aircraft's landing gear partially protruded from the fuselage even when retracted, allowing emergency belly landings without catastrophic destruction. Engineers knew that battlefield survival often depended on preparation for the worst possible scenario. While survivability was impressive, the aircraft's primary purpose remained the destruction of enemy armor. To accomplish this mission, designers built the entire aircraft around a single weapon, the GAU-8 Avenger cannon. This 7-barrel rotary cannon remains one of the most powerful aircraft guns ever created. The weapon fires massive 30 mm rounds capable of penetrating armored vehicles. The cannon is so large that its ammunition drum occupies much of the aircraft's fuselage. Engineers essentially designed the airplane around the gun rather than designing a gun for the airplane. When firing at maximum rate, the GAU-8 can unleash thousands of rounds per minute. The distinctive sound of the cannon became legendary among soldiers and feared by enemy forces. Pilots often joked that the airplane was simply a giant gun with wings attached. During testing, the GAU-8 demonstrated remarkable accuracy and destructive power. Yet the cannon represented only part of the aircraft's arsenal. 11 external hardpoints allowed the A-10 to carry a wide variety of weapons, including bombs, rockets, guided missiles, and electronic warfare equipment. This flexibility enabled commanders to adapt the aircraft to different combat situations. Production began in the mid-1970s, and operational units gradually received the new aircraft. Not everyone supported the program. Some military leaders questioned whether a slow aircraft could survive on a modern battlefield dominated by sophisticated air defenses. Others argued that multi-role fighters could perform the same mission more efficiently. Despite criticism, pilots and ground troops quickly appreciated the aircraft's unique capabilities. Training exercises repeatedly demonstrated its effectiveness against armored targets and its ability to remain over the battlefield far longer than faster jets. Throughout the late 1970s and early 1980s, A-10 squadrons expanded across the Air Force. Crews refined tactics for engaging tanks, supporting friendly troops, and surviving enemy air defenses. The aircraft became a central component of NATO planning during the Cold War. If conflict erupted in Europe, A-10 formations would attack advancing Soviet armor, slowing or halting enemy offensives while friendly ground forces organized defenses. Pilots trained intensively for this mission, practicing low-altitude attacks, terrain masking, and rapid target acquisition. Although the feared massive tank battles of Europe never occurred, the A-10 was ready. As the Cold War continued, the Warthog earned a reputation for durability and reliability. Maintenance crews appreciated its straightforward design and accessibility. Pilots valued its forgiving flight characteristics and extraordinary ability to absorb damage. Ground troops developed confidence that when an A-10 appeared overhead, help had arrived. By the end of the 1980s, the aircraft had become one of the most specialized and effective close air support platforms ever built. Yet its greatest tests still lay ahead. The collapse of the Soviet Union changed the strategic landscape, but new conflicts soon emerged. In the deserts of the Middle East, the Thunderbolt II would finally demonstrate why it had been created decades earlier. During the coming years, the aircraft would destroy tanks, support troops under fire, survive direct hits from enemy weapons, and earn a legendary reputation among soldiers on the battlefield. The world was about to discover whether the unconventional aircraft known as the Warthog truly deserved its fearsome reputation. As the Cold War came to an end, many military planners questioned whether the A-10 Thunderbolt II still had a future. The aircraft had been designed to stop massive Soviet armored assaults in Europe, but the Soviet Union collapsed before such a war could occur. Some officials believed advanced multi-role fighters would eventually replace specialized close air support aircraft. Yet before retirement plans could gain momentum, a new conflict emerged that would transform the A-10 from a controversial aircraft into a combat legend. In August 1990, Iraq invaded Kuwait, triggering an international crisis that led to Operation Desert Storm. When coalition forces prepared to liberate Kuwait in early 1991, hundreds of aircraft deployed to the region, including the A-10. Many observers wondered how the slow attack aircraft would perform against one of the largest armies in the Middle East. The answer became clear almost immediately. During Desert Storm, A-10 pilots flew thousands of combat sorties across Iraq and Kuwait. Their primary targets included tanks, armored personnel carriers, artillery batteries, missile launchers, supply depots, and military vehicles. Flying at low altitude, pilots used the aircraft's powerful sensors and weapons to identify and destroy enemy positions with remarkable effectiveness. The GAU-8 Avenger cannon became one of the most feared weapons on the battlefield. Iraqi tank crews learned that the distinctive sound of the cannon often meant destruction was seconds away. Coalition commanders repeatedly called upon A-10 units because they could remain over the battlefield longer than many faster aircraft and provide immediate support to ground forces. The aircraft destroyed hundreds of tanks and thousands of military vehicles during the campaign. Even more impressive was its survivability. Several A-10s returned to base with severe battle damage that would have destroyed many other aircraft. Some landed with holes in their wings, damaged engines, shattered control surfaces, and extensive structural damage. Maintenance crews often repaired the aircraft and returned them to combat. One pilot safely landed after losing significant portions of the aircraft's tail. Another returned despite extensive damage caused by anti-aircraft fire. These incidents reinforced the aircraft's reputation as one of the toughest combat aircraft ever built. By the end of Desert Storm, the A-10 had proven beyond doubt that it remained one of the most effective close air support platforms in existence. Despite this success, debates about retirement continued throughout the 1990s. Budget pressures and modernization programs led some officials to argue that newer fighters could perform the same mission. Supporters of the A-10 disagreed. They pointed out that no other aircraft combined its loiter time, survivability, firepower, and ability to operate close to friendly troops. The debate remained unresolved as new conflicts emerged in the 21st century. Following the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, the United States launched military operations in Afghanistan. Soon afterward, A-10 squadrons deployed to support coalition forces fighting in mountainous terrain. The aircraft's ability to fly slowly and remain overhead for extended periods proved extremely valuable. Ground commanders often requested A-10 support because pilots could visually identify targets and coordinate directly with troops under fire. In rugged valleys and remote regions, the aircraft provided critical assistance during intense engagements. Pilots frequently flew long missions lasting many hours, responding rapidly whenever friendly forces encountered resistance. The aircraft's precision weapons became increasingly important as military operations emphasized minimizing civilian casualties while maintaining combat effectiveness. In 2003, the invasion of Iraq provided another major test. Once again, A-10 pilots supported advancing ground forces, destroyed armored vehicles, and conducted close air support missions throughout the conflict. Urban warfare introduced new challenges, requiring pilots to distinguish hostile targets from civilian infrastructure while operating in complex environments. The A-10 adapted successfully. Ground troops continued praising the aircraft because of its responsiveness and accuracy. Whenever soldiers encountered enemy resistance, they knew A-10 pilots could arrive quickly and deliver precise firepower exactly where needed. Over time, technological upgrades enhanced the aircraft's capabilities. Modern targeting pods improved target identification and engagement accuracy. Advanced communication systems strengthened coordination between pilots and ground units. Precision-guided munitions expanded mission flexibility, enabling attacks against a wider range of targets. Cockpit modernization programs introduced digital displays and navigation systems that improved situational awareness. Although the basic airframe remained largely unchanged, the aircraft evolved significantly through modernization efforts. The resulting configuration became known as the A-10C. This upgraded version combined the rugged design of the original aircraft with modern battlefield technology. Yet despite continuous improvements, retirement proposals repeatedly resurfaced. Military leaders seeking budget savings often suggested replacing the aircraft with more advanced fighters. Supporters responded by emphasizing operational experience. They argued that the A-10's unique combination of endurance, survivability, visibility, and firepower could not easily be replicated. Veterans, active duty personnel, lawmakers, and military analysts frequently joined public debates regarding the aircraft's future. Many ground combat veterans strongly supported retaining the platform because of its proven record in protecting troops during combat. Stories from the battlefield further strengthened the aircraft's legendary status. Numerous soldiers described moments when A-10 pilots arrived during critical situations and helped prevent friendly casualties. The aircraft's distinctive appearance and unmistakable cannon sound became symbols of battlefield support. Many troops reported feeling immediate relief upon hearing the familiar roar overhead. The Warthog earned a reputation not merely as a weapon system, but as a guardian for soldiers fighting on the ground. International operations against terrorist organizations during the 2010s provided additional opportunities for the aircraft to demonstrate its effectiveness. A-10 units participated in operations across the Middle East, conducting strikes against vehicles, fortified positions, supply routes, and militant infrastructure. Modern sensors and guided weapons allowed pilots to operate effectively in increasingly complex combat environments. Despite being decades old, the aircraft continued delivering valuable combat capability. Its long service life became extraordinary by military aviation standards. Few combat aircraft remain operational for such an extended period while continuing to perform their primary mission successfully. The future of the A-10 remains a subject of discussion. New technologies, including advanced drones, stealth aircraft, and precision weapons, continue changing modern warfare. Military planners evaluate how future conflicts may differ from those of previous decades. Nevertheless, the A-10's historical record is difficult to ignore. Designed during the Cold War to destroy tanks on European battlefields, it evolved into one of the most respected close air support aircraft ever created. Across deserts, mountains, cities, and conflict zones around the world, the Thunderbolt II repeatedly demonstrated qualities that designers envisioned decades earlier: toughness, reliability, survivability, and devastating firepower. The aircraft survived political battles, budget cuts, technological revolutions, and repeated retirement attempts. Through every challenge, it continued supporting soldiers on the ground. Today, the image of the A-10 remains instantly recognizable. Its straight wings, twin engines, massive cannon, and rugged construction symbolize a philosophy of military aviation focused entirely on mission effectiveness. The Warthog was never designed to be the fastest aircraft, the most advanced aircraft, or the most elegant aircraft. It was designed to protect troops and destroy enemy forces under the harshest battlefield conditions. In that mission, it became one of the most successful combat aircraft in modern history. Decades after its first flight, the roar of the Thunderbolt II still echoes across military aviation history, reminding the world that sometimes the most effective weapon is not the most sophisticated machine, but the one that can survive, endure, and keep fighting when everything else fails.